chicken cutlet Caesar sandwich. With chicken cutlets so thin, you get a paper cut. Now, if that sounds good and you enjoy this video, hopefully by the end of it, I get you to become a subscriber. But first, we gotta make some chicken cutlets real quick. Now, you know the drill. First, we need to slice these boneless, skinless chicken breasts. So starting with the thicker side of the chicken, slowly and carefully start slicing across the chicken with a very thin knife to form thin cutlets. Now, you can always pound it out thinner later if you can't get them super thin, but I find slicing them like this first is the best and easiest way to prepare the cutlets. Then just make your way slicing the chicken until all the cutlets are prepared. Next, we're setting up a basic 3-stage breading station. First station is about a cup or 2 of some all-purpose flour. In the next station, for this amount of chicken, I'm gonna go with 3 eggs and then beat those together like scrambled eggs. Then the last station is a blend of Italian seasoned breadcrumbs and then some nice, crunchy, coarse panko breadcrumbs. About a 50-50. Now, I don't like to salt my chicken directly because it sometimes pulls out moisture, which kind of separates the breading from the chicken a little bit once it fries. Instead, I like to season the breading station aggressively, and then again once the chicken is fried afterwards. So we're gonna get a good amount of salt into each part of the breading station. So first, we go into the flour. Get a few in there at a time so you're working efficiently. Make sure they get nicely coated, but lightly coated. Make sure you dust off any excess. And then once it's lightly coated, straight into the egg. Then I'll toss a few back into the flour, flip those into the egg, then lift the chicken out of the egg, let that excess egg drain off, and then right into the breadcrumbs. And then with that wet hand, I like to press in that top side, give it a shake, which should fully coat the chicken while keeping the hand dry. And then with my dry hand, just start working it so it stays as dry as possible. Give it a flip, sprinkle more breadcrumbs on, and then press. This is when you can sort of flatten out, thin out that chicken a little bit more, and get it nicely coated in the breadcrumbs. Thins them out, makes them a little bit bigger. Beautiful, perfect chicken cutlet. And then you just go ahead and repeat with the rest of the chicken. Now, yes, this is more than I need, but it's hot out. And if I'm gonna turn the stove on, I wanna bang out a bunch of stuff at a time so I can snack on it when I don't wanna cook, because we're at that time of the year where it's almost too hot to cook. Now let's fry these up real quick. In a high-rim saute pan, add about an inch of olive oil and then bring that up to a frying temperature. And once the oil is hot, gently and carefully add in your chicken cutlets. And we're gonna allow them to cook on a few minutes on each side until they begin to brown. Then give them a flip and keep flipping and splashing oil on the pale spots of the chicken until they're evenly golden brown on both sides. Then we can transfer those to a wire rack to drain off any oil and then season it with salt. And that rack will allow that underside to stay crispy. Then we can go ahead and add in another batch of chicken cutlets and continue to fry them off in batches until they're all perfectly golden brown and crispy. And they shouldn't need long to cook since they're so thin, a few minutes on each side. If that oil is at an adequate frying temperature, by the time the breadcrumbs are golden brown, the chicken should be perfectly cooked inside. You really want to go hot and fast here, but not too hot that you start burning the oil. And there we have our beautiful chicken cutlets. And we can set this off to the side while we work on the Caesar aspect of this sandwich. Now I got some bread that's been like kind of drying out, day-old bread that I'm gonna turn into croutons. I'm just going to figure out what size I want. I think on the smaller side. I'm just gonna cut them into 3 strips and then those strips into small bite-sized dices that are just gonna fit nicely into the sandwich. Nothing too big. Now, like I said, it's hot out and I don't even want to turn my oven on. So to make these croutons, I'm just gonna pop them right into the toaster. I got my little toaster pan here. Just gonna hit it with some olive oil, get them tossed up. And we're gonna season them afterwards, but to just add a nice little flavor, I'm gonna smash a little garlic. Just get those oils released. And that's just gonna sort of scent the breadcrumbs as they bake. And we're just gonna bake these around 400 degrees for about 15-20 minutes until they get crispy and nice and dried out like croutons. Then immediately get those into a bowl. You don't need the garlic. And then instantly hit it with some garlic powder and then a little Italian seasoning. And then just a little touch of salt. Now just let those hang out until we're ready to use them. Now we can make our dressing. Now, of course, the fun of making a Caesar dressing is the big bowl that they make tableside in. It's big enough to whip air and emulsify the dressing, which is harder to do in a smaller bowl. So we're gonna make the dressing the same way a classic Caesar salad is made. The technique to getting there is just a little bit different. So I got a little mortar and pestle here. You can also use the flat edge of a knife with some coarse salt and create a garlic paste that way. But I'm gonna use the mortar and pestle. So I'm just gonna take one garlic clove, slice it into bits, and get it into the mortar and pestle, and then I'm gonna add one anchovy. I do not like anchovies, so I'm just gonna add one. You don't have to add any at all. We're gonna add Worcestershire sauce later, which has anchovy in it anyway. So just go ahead and turn the anchovy and the garlic into a paste. Start out just sort of pounding it a bit to get the garlic crushed, and then just start moving it in a circular motion to puree it into a paste. Then I'm just gonna take a spoon and scoop that out and add it to a bowl. Gonna add the yolk of one really good quality egg. To that, I'm gonna add a half of a lemon, a few tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, some Dijon mustard, maybe a teaspoon, pinch of salt, whisk it together. Then we're gonna take our olive oil and slowly stream it in. While you slowly stream it in, you should see the dressing sort of thicken and come together, emulsifying the olive oil with all of the other ingredients. And then finally, go in with the Parmigiano Reggiano. And to me, this is when the dressing comes alive. I think it needs a touch more mustard for balance. Just a little touch more Worcestershire sauce. It's thick, it's tangy. You get that acidity from the lemon. You get the punch of flavor from all those other ingredients, and it's nice and balanced. Now, our lettuce. I got a head of romaine here. I'm just gonna take off the outside leaves. They're a little ragged. And you kind of just want to expose the heart. Cut that off, and that's all the crunchy bits that make this a great salad. So I'm just gonna keep it intact like this and cut little pieces, maybe an inch or a half inch thick. That's plenty for a sandwich. Next up, the bread. Now, if you know me, you know I have a fond appreciation for a nice semolina loaf. A nice semolina loaf. And so I only need something about that big. I'm gonna cut the butt off. I'm gonna make my sandwich with that. Now I'm just gonna quickly warm this up in the toaster. I'm gonna cut it open. I just wanna pull out a little bit inside the top. It's gonna help cradle in the lettuce a little bit better into the sandwich. Bottom's different because that's where the cutlets are gonna sit. First, a little bit of the dressing right on the bottom. Place the chicken cutlets right on top. Sorry, I just lost that footage. What I just did was add the lettuce, the croutons, and the Caesar dressing together, stirred it up to essentially form our Caesar salad. I also added some fresh cracked black pepper. And then the Caesar salad right on top of the chicken. And more dressing right on top. And finally, some Parmigiano cheese. Now I love a Caesar salad, but I love a chicken cutlet sandwich more. So combining the two seems like a no-brainer. If you want to make one, the recipe is going to be down in the description. If you haven't checked out my last video, link's going to pop up on the screen any second now. That's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.